Pope Francis just warned the Church against becoming accustomed to isolation from the sacraments and the Mass. It is a great blessing to have Mass live streamed for the people, but it should increase our longing for Jesus in the Eucharist, and to celebrate the Mass in its proper context, in person as a family of faith. It is an evangelical Christian idea, not Catholic, to think that our experience of our faith can still thrive when we are on our own. Thank you, Pope Francis, for reminding us of this reality. Let us long for the time when we as a parish can come together again. In the meantime, we are in survival mode. I believe there are special graces God is giving us during this time that keep us joyfully anchored to Him, but we must remember that it is a temporary exile, not a new normal. I think the Pope's reminder is an excellent opportunity to also look at our idea of faith formation, where we can risk seeing the truths of the faith merely as spiritual facts, at the expense of the main point, union with God. The truths of the faith were given to us directly by God, so we can come to know and relate to God as He is and serve Him as He wills. It is not merely a collection of ideas, a philosophy of thought, or even a moral code to live by. God wants to live in us, for us to be joined to Him always in mind and heart, word and action. He wants us to participate in His inner life here and now, and perfectly in heaven. Springing from this inner union, He wants us to participate in saving the world as His hands and feet. During this pandemic, as at any time, it is so important that we not allow the virus to cut us off from our purpose in God and His service. This can be difficult to avoid as we are outside our normal routine. However, when joined to God through attentive prayer, He will show us new and fruitful ways to both celebrate our faith and put it into practice to serve others. An important part of prayer life is a healthy diversity. Asking God to meet our needs, petition or supplication prayer, is pleasing to God, and we should ask regularly. God says, "Ask and you shall receive." However, it's only one form of prayer, and by itself is insufficient for much growth in union with God. Remember the acronym ACTS: Adoration, Contrition, Thanksgiving, Supplication. The order of acts is actually helpful as an order for prayer daily. Adoration is praising God for His greatness and goodness. It is the highest prayer and is the main prayer form we will be doing in heaven. However, it can still seem awkward to do here and now if one is not accustomed to it, especially out loud as a family. However, praying prayers of adoration from the heart as a family is worth doing regularly, and will become a cherished part of prayer when families become familiar with it. Adoration sets the stage for other prayer as it helps us to realize the wonder of God and the amazing gift He gives us by giving Himself, even though He is infinitely greater than we are. Contrition is sorrow for sin and a desire for forgiveness. It can be confused with feeling bad about oneself and either despairing of God's mercy or trying to earn God's love by a desire to do better. Rather, contrition is a confident trust in God's mercy and a truly humble admission of guilt and expressed need for healing. It helps us to be open to the healing of God in our broken lives, to help us better love Him and do His will in the future. The difference may seem subtle, but it is like the difference between going to the doctor when we have cancer versus trying to get well on our own and then go to the doctor so we are healthy enough to see Him. Pray prayers of contrition daily. Lead your families in a time of examining the day and talking to Jesus about it. Thanksgiving is our prayer in response to all of God's gifts. Without it, we begin to see God's gifts as normal or deserved, and take them for granted. God's gifts are also often disguised inside suffering. It is spiritually healthy to regularly think over what God has done for us and give thanks for everything that happens in our lives. Thanksgiving prayers reveal to us that there are no coincidences and strengthen our trust in God's care for us, His providence in all situations. Supplication or petition is asking for things from God. It increases our sense of being God's children and acknowledges our recognition of His desire to always care for us and our dependence upon Him. God knows already what we need before we ask Him, but He desires us to participate by asking, to increase our awareness of our dependence on Him. Is prayer hard for you to enter into? Does it seem empty or fruitless? Do you feel too busy, but spend too much time on pointless pursuits? Next week I will share some life-changing ideas for growing in the attentiveness needed for prayer, common pitfalls to avoid, and diagnosing prayer life, etc. God bless you.